is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Mike Spence, member of the West Covina City Council. And sir, as I'm sure you know, in 2014, a court ruled that California's very stringent limits on CCW permits, concealed weapons permits, unconstitutional. And as a result, it's been a little easier for folks to get CCWs, and many are, and not commenting one way or the other, just a fact. What's happening in West Covina on the question of CCWs?
Well, in West Covina, that case is on appeal, and,
right.
and
yes,
unfortunately the police chief sticks with the fact that, and usually the controversy is that whether or not self-defense is good cause.
Exactly.
And he doesn't think that's a good enough cause to issue a permit,
right.
so he doesn't issue permits in West Covina. But we had an issue about who can carry guns in the city hall.
But let me ask you, but one can get a CCW permit from the sheriff then? Correct?
Well, you have to get it from your local jurisdiction. So the sheriff will require him to get it from the police chief.
I see. Okay,
right.
But for those that have them in West Covina, for whatever reason, even though
they're visiting West Covina,
or they're visiting West Covina, they have because they were able to get it for whatever reason. What happens when you want to go into City Hall? That's the issue today.
Well, City Hall has a ban on off-duty police officers and other permit holders from going into City Hall at all.
They have had a ban on that.
Yeah, they've had a ban on it, and it hasn't really been enforced because there's a councilman, for example, in a neighboring city. He was at Martin Luther King. He's a cop. He was carrying, and technically that was against the law.
Interesting.
And because he didn't know there was a law, and so we had a talk about that ordinance, and the West Covina City Council voted 4-1 to allow off-duty and retired police officers that have a concealed weapon permit to carry guns in City Hall.
And were you part of the 4 or part of the 1?
No, I was part of the 1, and I was part of the 1 because we've decided that in West Covina, we're going to discriminate against ordinary citizens that have the same permit that those officers have. In fact, issued by the same person.
Sure.
So if you're a retired sheriff's deputy, like our mayor, you'll be able to carry because you work for the sheriff of Los Angeles. But if he issued a permit to a citizen, we wouldn't allow you to carry it.
So would you have rather had the law be nothing at all in City Hall?
No, I would have been that. I don't have a problem with people that have gone through the process and have a concealed weapon permit because you have to be tested. You have to have an FBI background check. In fact, you're more thoroughly investigated than the city council. So I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
But I do think it's wrong for us to discriminate against ordinary citizens because for whatever reason the council chose to do so.
I wonder, as a matter of law. I mean, technically I'm a lawyer, but I mean, can that be done? I mean,
I wonder about that. I think there is some equal protection issues here.
Yeah.
I mean, like why in the entire state of California, the only place those permits are good in the same exact places except West Covina City Hall? That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you know that in Riverside, for example, maybe 15 years ago, there was a shooting in the city council chambers, essentially. Right. The mayor took bullets, a couple city council members took bullets, so there's a little fear about that.
Yeah, but that fear is not, in my view, misplaced on concealed weapon permit holders because those people had to go through the background check. They had to be trained. They had to go through that. The fear would be having someone walk in there with a gun and there's no one else there without a gun.
Right.
That would be my fear. In fact, that happened once where I was speaking and I was threatened, and I felt very uncomfortable because the person turned out to be a veteran that was having mental issues. And
did he have a gun?
No, he didn't have a gun, but I felt much better when I knew someone showed up that I knew was a CCW holder. I felt better.
But aren't there officers at city council
This was
meetings?
at City Hall. This was at an event, and so there were no officers there. And they were minutes away when this person was very threatening. And so I felt much more comfortable when I saw, someone came in and I knew he had a CCW, and I felt much better.
So what's next? The law is the law.
Well, we're going to have another discussion about it, and we'll see if the West Covina City Council still wants to discriminate against ordinary people that follow the law and are able to carry guns.
He is Mike Spence, member of the West Covina City Council. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's Charter Local Edition.